Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more of the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last QHHT hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking to my practitioner who's asking me questions I've prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from the 25th. Before I start reading, I'd like to thank you as always for subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. It really makes a difference for me. And I really appreciate it. I just enjoy seeing your comments. So thank you so much. All right, let's jump in. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, this is a question from, and she's one of our community members, and I'm not sure. She posted this question in the Telegram group. So I think she's okay with saying her name, but I've not asked her specifically if I could share it at large on YouTube, so I'm just gonna use a different name for her. So let's say her name is Barbara. All right, so a question from Barbara. She says, I've been in turmoil over my son. His girlfriend is a fundamentalist Christian and doing her best to get my son to believe like she does. She's older than him, and I've been in turmoil contemplating what she's pushing my son towards due to family pressure and him trusting himself and his own pathways. I've been feeling anger and hurt regarding religion and the damage it causes. Yesterday's video was helpful for me because I've been super believing in the game again to get so worked up inside myself about this stuff. Anyway, I feel like I'm processing something around the damage religions cause through brainwashing and fear, and I'm fiercely protecting on my son. And this is not an easy situation to be in, but it is a great question because a lot of stuff is coming up for a lot of us. So this is what the 25th had to say. Yeah, so just like light being is reflecting on or is using what she knows, what she's exposed to, which is the medical industry and the nursing profession in the specific, as trigger for her to consciously elaborate and integrate certain realities, Barbara is being presented with something else related to another dark system, which is religion. And just FYI, light being's question was in the previous video. So if you haven't watched that, you might be wondering, what are we talking about here? So light being's question was in relation to the nursing profession, and that she felt like it was very dark and so on and so forth. And it was very interesting. So I would definitely recommend watching the previous video if you haven't already. All right, so let's go back to Barbara. So Barbara is being presented with something else related to another dark system, which is religion. What is a fundamentalist? It's simply a person who doesn't even deviate, so doesn't even make religion look like, oh, it could be good here. And they were laughing. A fundamentalist literally is somebody who is saying, yeah, whatever they say is what it is. It is the opposite of going inside, right? And so we find this even at 3D level. Most people find this very objectionable. So you see, it's put there very much in relief so that Barbara can look at it. There's not even, this is literally black and white. There's not even a shade of gray in the middle, because a fundamentalist is the extreme, right? Whatever religion it might be. And so, yes, this is what she's looking at. This is what she's being presented with, because this is a good trigger for her. And we go back to what we were saying, where on New Earth, we're all going to be presented with all the information, but each one of us will take on a particular aspect of it. There is more disturbing for that particular essence, for that particular person. And these people are doing the same thing. They're taking on one aspect of reality, which shows them what all of reality really looks like. This is the one aspect that they're looking at, which brings it into relief, which makes it real. Because one thing is thinking about everything in generic terms. One thing is being so up close and personal with one aspect of reality where you understand all the ins and outs because you live in it. You're living through it at 3D level and you're saying, wow, that sucks. Or why? Why would you do this? I mean, why is this happening? Of course, she's very defensive. And of course, she knows her son is an ascended master as well. And like we said, in the case of, for example, another community member whose daughter had a very disturbing dream, and the mother was integrating it with the daughter. And you know, we don't choose our parents by chance. So of course, not only is her son dealing with the situation, but she's dealing with it too. And together, they're integrating the same experience and the same facet of reality of how reality has worked here. So of course, her son will be just fine. And Barbara already knows this. Of course, she's worried at 3D level. We worry, but the truth is her son is fine. He'll be fine. There is a reason, obviously, that he's going through this, that he wanted to experience this. It does not mean that awful things are going to happen to him. And of course, Barbara also knows this person is gone, this fundamentalist. She's an NPC. She truly is just a mirror to show her and her son certain things. She's a tool that they're using because she didn't have to do this. But this is how she and her son are doing this conscious work right now of seeing. You see, all of us are seeing different aspects of how this reality has actually worked. And so Clea, for example, does this in dream state. She's not the only one. We're bringing this up as an example. While Barbara is doing it in real life, she's seeing something that's very dark show up in her life. And, same thing as light being. We're all basically, and we mentioned this a few sessions ago, and we told you that this would happen. We have basically, this is one of the powers that we're attaining before we even move to New Earth, which is we are more clear on what things are. We are more clear. We understand. We've always wanted this veil, this separation between 3D and what things are behind the scenes. We never wanted to know. The problem is that the veil is almost non-existent right now at this point. And so when something is dark, we see it. And that's why we also have this very emotional reaction. And of course, it is our goal, our intention to integrate this. This is why we bring this up for ourselves, because this didn't have to happen. Her son didn't even have to run into this person. We know the son and the mother made all this happen. What are the chances that you run into a religious fundamentalist? I mean, Claire wouldn't even know where to go find them. She's thinking, where would I have to go to the Middle East? Or where do I go find one? But intellectually, she knows they're probably everywhere. But this wouldn't happen to her because she's not interested in this part of religion, because she's already integrated religion. We've already spoken about the fact that not only she grew up in a Catholic country, but she rejected religion and became an atheist for a long time. She's already gone through this. There would be no religious fundamentalist that would even become part of her life, even through anybody around her, because then it would become part of her life again. She's already integrated this piece, which again doesn't mean that she's ahead, behind, or whatever it is. We look at different things. So again, maybe when we go to New Earth, Claire's going to be more emotional about different aspects of reality, whereas Barbara will be triggered by different things. Because we're all together, we're integrating everything, right? So no one of us has to integrate the whole. That's the beauty of it, because whatever Barbara does in terms of work benefits everybody. And that's what we're all doing. We're all leveraging each other's work. So yeah, she's going through this. Again, they will be just fine. Barbara knows what she's doing. And in fact, even in the question, when she brought it up, she mentioned a lot of these things. She said, I know that this is happening for a reason. Of course it is. And the situation will solve itself. It's not something that, again, is being brought up for her to trigger her to integrate things. The second she integrates, this will just dissolve. This person will just, if we're still here, this person will just disappear in the distance like a distant memory. Because we know that she's thinking, oh my God, what if my son completely loses it and he becomes a fundamentalist? They get married and then they have fundamentalist children and I'll never see my son again. All these things that we can think of as a chain reaction in 3D life. None of this is going to happen. She's just going to fade in the background once this work has been done. And not that Barbara has to do any work. We're not saying she has to do this. We're saying her higher self has brought up the situation because she wants to do this. So the second that she has looked at it and integrated it, she will not need this anymore, this experience anymore. Lorrayne, absolutely. Okay, the next question is mine. I know that the NPCs are breaking down, and it seems from my personal experience that it's accelerating, particularly the physical breaking down. The emotional is breaking down. It's very challenging to live with, experience, and witness. Is this going to keep accelerating? Me. Yes, so unfortunately, yes. And we already said, we explained this at length in the previous session, and we know that you know already, so we're not going to go too much into depth here. We already said an NPC does not have to break down just because of the absence of the essence. But this is more true in the case of NPCs that never had an essence in them. The ones that have had an essence in them and the essence has recently left will have more of a hard time, if you want to think of it that way. There's going to be a higher probability they will break down the more time passes. The reason why this happens, it doesn't necessarily have to happen, but the reason this happens is first, because the energy is completely changed the moment the essence is gone. And second, we already explained there is so much low vibrational stuff available, even including the food that we eat, the toxic housing, the toxic air, everything, where if the essence is not there to shield you from the consequences of this low vibration, the body will be affected. So therefore, by default, there is more of a chance that the NPC might break down the longer the essence has been gone. Now, again, it doesn't have to happen, and it doesn't have to happen at a certain rate, even if it does happen, that kind of thing. So will it happen more and more if we're here longer? Yes. But this is the good news, is that this is the reason, and we are seeing it more and more. And the more these NPCs break down and pass away, because a lot of them are passing away. You've heard about all the excess deaths everywhere. We like to believe they're because of this thing. People are just leaving. Well, in this case, it's NPCs that are just leaving because the essence has been gone for a while. But basically, the reason we are calling good news is because it is very obvious. It's becoming increasingly obvious that the NPCs are breaking down. And the more we see this, the less we want to be here. And the less we want to be here, the more there is a chance that once you achieve the signpost that you set for yourself, this landmark, which is the recall, you are more likely to decide that, yes, we are done and we're moving on. So this is actually a comfort to Clea because, as we said, Clea is concerned we'll come up with another brilliant idea, and she's being facetious when she uses the word brilliant, to stay behind. But really, she wants to be gone, like everybody else, really. We all want to be gone. And so hopefully, we're telling you, we told you before, this is one of the reasons why you believe you're not going to be here much longer, because you do not want to see and know consciously, not be able to pretend that people are still here. And the problem is that many of you are very clear, even at 3D level, that you have NPCs around you. And this was never the plan. We were never meant to know that there are bodies here that are empty. And I will repeat this. We were never meant to know that there are bodies here that are empty. I thought this was right on, especially this last part. And it is a comfort to me. I have to say, I'm hoping that this is enough of a motivation for us to move on. The other one being that really there's not that much more work we can do over here. We're already done incredible things. So I'm hoping that eventually we decide it's time to go. But we will see. All right, Lorraine, thank you. Okay, Josie Adams would like to know what happened when all the flights were canceled the week of January 12th. They said it was because of a glitch in the computer system that needed to be reset. However, it also happened in Canada, but they didn't have as big of a problem. Me. Yeah, so what happened is, yes, of course, the systems are also crumbling. And so there's a lot of glitches. We already said there are glitches all the time. We just pretend not to see them. This was more visible also because the Intel community, of course, focused on it. But all systems are glitching, really, if you want to think of it that way. When they talked about the fact that we reached the debt ceiling, or the Bank of America, you know, the money disappearing from accounts, because I mean, you saw it didn't happen across the board. That's the system glitching. We already said we are holding it up. We are propping reality up. The second any one of us slips as in, I don't care about this anymore, it will glitch. Even though we are doing a great job of holding up reality, reality is already collapsing. If we stop for a moment to look at all the signs, we already know it's all collapsing. So that's what's happening. And this will happen again and again. And the longer we go, because there's only us maintaining the entire reality. We had essences before maintaining these systems in place. We don't have essences intending things to go a certain way now. We don't care. As long as it somehow looks normal on the surface, we don't care. Yeah, sure. So there was a glitch in the computer system. At 3D level, we're like, yeah, that's normal. Computers glitch. But really, has it really happened before? Has it? And we're not saying it never happened in the history of airplanes, but you see, now we become aware of these things. That's the difference there, that we are conscious of the systems not holding up the way they were before. Facebook, for example, we keep saying to you that Facebook is collapsing. And you know, when we say this, and Claire's thinking, well, I'm not seeing it, although she was feeling it, but she's not seeing it. And yet now she sees it in bits and pieces. Like, for example, she's getting all these notifications. They want her back. They want her back. Because they're losing people, they're losing money. They've had to lay off even more. Claire was aware that they had to lay off 15,000 people not too long ago. They've had to lay off many more thousands of people since. They have no more money. We already said if we were to stay here another couple of years, they wouldn't exist anymore. Imagine a huge corporation. We thought they would rule the world. Facebook, YouTube, Google. YouTube belongs to Google. We thought that they would rule the world. They're all invested in pharmaceuticals. They're all invested in these things. We thought they were the ones pulling the strings, and we've realized they're barely hanging on for dear life. Do you see how the world has changed? This is how the world has changed. It's completely the opposite of what it was before. We don't want to see it. We don't want to say it to ourselves. But that's exactly, you look just a little bit deeper, and you see that the cracks are huge now. It's not even small cracks anymore. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you as always for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.